Hi, I'm Tiffany. I'm in the mood for yarn. How about you? Welcome to Yarn Moods. Today I have a mosaic crochet scarf that I wanted to share with you. Let me open it up a little bit. So this is my first mosaic crochet pattern that I've ever worked, and I used free patterns tutorials on YouTube by Fiberfox Studios, and I'll be sure to give you more information about that. But it's kind of hard for me to show you the whole scarf right now, but I'll just kind of fold it up for you for the camera. It came out really nice. Now, I've been married for 30 years, almost. I don't know. I've lost count, somewhere in there. And my husband rarely asks for anything made in crochet from me. But he asked for a cotton scarf. And that didn't really sound fun to me until I remembered that I have been wanting to try mosaic crochet. So I used Hobby Lobby's I Love This Cotton, and I used Fiberfox Studios free tutorials, and you can pretty much use her free tutorials to design your own scarf or your own blanket or whatever you want to make. And I'll show you in more detail when I can flip the camera around to show you what I did specifically. But basically what I did is I did a center pattern all the same here, thinking that that would go around the neck. And then the patterns, if it was hanging down, the patterns would match up. Let me lower my camera just a little. So you see, going across, the patterns are the same. So I thought that was pretty clever. And it's a really wide scarf. That's what he wanted. He wanted a wide cotton scarf. And I made it long enough that it can go around twice so that he can wear it as a cowl. Fluff it up there to protect from the wind. And it's nice and warm. It also drapes pretty nicely. So even though it's really wide, because the cotton is really soft, it drapes nice. It doesn't feel too bulky or too heavy. We live in California, so we don't get really crazy cold winters. But, it does get cool enough and it gets really windy. So this will be a nice scarf for him. And I'm also working on a mosaic crochet hat that's still in progress. So I'll show you guys that in a little bit too when I can flip the camera down. So this also has a really nice double edge border that is hiding all the ends. So when you work mosaic crochet, every row gets cut. Every row. So you have an end on each side here, working across 2 ends to weave in. No, I mean, seriously, no. So I used, and I'm never going to be able to say her whole name, but she's really a famous mosaic crochet pattern designer. Her first name is Tina, and she is famous for the Havana, the Queen, a bunch of different ones that, and I'll try to put some information about her at the end. But she does this double border. So you crochet along here, and then you crochet along here, and then you join it. And again, we'll go over that in a little more detail when I can flip my camera around. But isn't it nice? I thought it was pretty good. I'm really happy with it. I'm glad that I tried the mosaic crochet. I think that if you've been thinking about doing mosaic crochet and were intimidated like I was, don't be. It's actually a lot easier than you would think. Because you're only working one row, one color at a time. And this is the, I forget exactly what kind it's called. I'll look it up for you guys, and when I flip the camera around I'll give you more details. But basically it's using a drop down double crochet technique. So you do one row, or you do one row with single crochets, and then maybe a drop down double crochet or two, and then you go back to single crochet. And then some rows are just single crochet across, and you come up with all these great patterns. So I thought it came out really awesome. Thinking that there's going to definitely be more mosaic crochet in my future. So give me just a minute and I'll flip my camera down and we'll take a closer look at this, and we'll talk more about the patterns and how you can design your own using free tutorials on YouTube. That's awesome. Be right back. So here's a nice close-up view of my mosaic crochet scarf that I used using several patterns taken from Fiber Fox Studios. She has wonderful tutorials here on YouTube for free. And you can also purchase her PDF charts and patterns. I used the crochet along that she did a while back, and she has an entire playlist using that all of the different patterns, and they all have the same stitch count. So she also has a nice introductory style of tutorial, so she goes really slow, step by step through each pattern, and so you can mix and match the patterns. So let's first take a look and see, and I'll explain a little bit more about why you shouldn't be intimidated about mosaic crochet. So you can see here, now ignore this part here, that's the border, okay? So I started here with my first color of yellow, and I just worked one row of single crochet across in yellow, and then I cut the yarn. Pretty easy. Then I joined on the next color of white and I worked across. Again, single crochet. And you do need to follow her tutorial because she has a few special instructions, but if you can do single crochet and double crochet, you can do this. It is a little slow at first because you have to figure out, you have to follow her pattern, and you have to understand when you're switching to a drop down double crochet. So if we look right here, excuse my finger, sorry, still figuring out camera work. If we look right here, that's a drop down double crochet. I was really working in this yellow, okay, and then I dropped down and I hooked my double crochet in the row below. It's not as hard as it sounds. Once you see her do it, then it's really easy. And so you just keep cutting your yarn and starting with the next color. Let me see if I can scoot this over for you. But look at that nice pattern it makes. And then, because all of the patterns are interchangeable, you can follow along because it's the same stitch count depending on what you decide to make. So like you could decide that you don't want to start with the same first diamond pattern that I did. Maybe you really like this pattern, or maybe you like this pattern. So this one is technically my favorite here, and with these boxes. So I really like these. In fact, I could see making a much larger project with all of this. You could just pick one of these patterns and keep going. And you don't have to make a scarf. You could make a wider project using her stitch counts and make a blanket. You could make a purse. There's all kinds of things you can do. I'm making a hat right now, and I'll show you guys that in a little bit. But yeah, so then I did the same. Here's the Greek key is what I'm calling it. I don't know if that's really the name of it. And then so I just kept alternating colors between the yellow, the blue, or the blue and the white, or yellow and white, because those are the colors he chose. And I know traditionally those are baby colors, but they just happen to be his favorite colors. And I think it worked well. So then, as I got up here to the neck portion, I did a pretty standard, what's known as Apache Tears pattern. And then I'm going to scooch this around. And like I showed you earlier, it's the same pattern on the other side. I just made sure that when I got to the end of my Apache Tears here, so here's my Apache Tears, I made sure to follow the pattern matching what I started with, but going in the opposite direction. Okay, so here's a look at the double border. You can see that what I did is I went all the way around the entire scarf, working around with a slip stitch. And then I went all the way around with several rows of single crochet, and on the last row here for the blue I did a drop down double crochet every few stitches. You don't have to do that. It could just be single crochet all the way around. Now the reason it's called a double border is because I first laid all these stitches on that slip stitch. Then on the back side I did a slip stitch again. Oops, sorry about that. On the back side I did another slip stitch all the way around and then single crocheted. It looks like I did 3 rows. I pretty much just kept going until it matched the height of the front side border. And then I went around and slip stitched both pieces together. So at first you have like a flap here and a flap in the back. And guess what's in the middle? All those ends that I did not want to weave in, and I didn't want to have a fringe on this scarf. So a double border is an excellent option when you're working on mosaic crochet. Not only does it hide in the ends, it gives a nice squishy padded border, so it feels yummy and scrunchy and like, you know, squishy, like a little bit of a pillow along the whole border, and it also gives it some weight so that it lays down nicely. I think it would be great on a blanket, you know. So if you do a large mosaic pattern on a blanket and then do this double border all the way around, yes, it's a little extra work because you're doing, you know, you're crocheting on both sides and then putting them together, but you don't have to hide in all or weave in all those ends, and you get a nice hefty border that feels really good. So that's how I did my mosaic crochet scarf, and now I'm going to give you some more information on how you could design your own scarf pattern too. So here's a look at Fiberfox Studios on YouTube, and I'll link her YouTube channel down below, and then here's for Tina's information where I used the border. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please comment down below. Will you give mosaic crochet a try? I hope you like this video. I have lots more to share with you. Bye.